So a couple of weeks ago, I filmed a commercial for CrossFit that was nationally televised, and this was one of the rooms that we filmed in. I'm gonna give you my 5 tips for how I lit this room right here.
We'll be right back after this message.
All right, guys, we're gonna wrap up this warm up, but before we do that, let's welcome Christian to our podcast.
You can do it.
All right, Christian, staying open, staying open, staying open.
I can do this. So this is actually part 1 of a series of part 2. The first series, we're going to be talking about this room right here. It was the very first scene at this commercial, and then the second part was actually filmed at the gym that I go to every day, United Performance. And so we'll talk about how we lit that space. I think before I get into this video, I just want to say thank you for everyone that helped. And this was definitely a team effort. This was not something that I did all by myself. I had wonderful people at CrossFit that helped me produce this and direct this and come up with the concepts for these videos. And I also had Christian, who helps me all the time, helps me with these videos right here, but he was actually the main actor for this concept video. And so I'm just super thankful for him and all of his help. We're gonna talk about this whole set, what lights we use and everything. That's gonna be at the end of the video, so it makes more sense about why these tips actually make sense. Tip number 1 is light for the master shot and then go small. What that means is light for your widest shot that you have in your sequence, and then from that point get into those tighter shots and you can move around your lights from there. Tip number 2 is use windows. Windows in this scene were so helpful, and it helps me all the time with really finding that motivative light for the key light. The next tip I have is texture with set design. You know, this room was not the way it really looked like from the very beginning. You know, the couch was a little different. There wasn't a picture in the background. There wasn't a lamp. And so we kind of moved things around in order to create the set that we wanted, to create the texture that we wanted.
Chips, you got all this popcorn, you got this cola. You're watching some TV. Yeah.
We even got, you know, Coke cans and chip bags, and we crumbled it all, you know, all over the room to create this person who is sitting in this chair that is maybe sad about their life and what they're doing, and they're not motivated to get up off the couch to go to the gym. And that's kind of the feeling that we were trying to create with this scene right here. The next tip, and this is something that I don't get to use enough of, and I wish that we did. Now let's look at this little diagram. Right here in this back right is this little box. What is this little box? This little box was a hazer. And this wasn't a expensive hazer. This was a hazer that they use for like haunted houses. And I used this to haze the room. And that just created another element of texture that you just don't get if you don't have this. You know, often if you're watching movies, they use haze all the time, and it just creates another layer within, you know, with the lights and the people and the set design, just makes it feel really nice. And so this haze was amazing, and I use it for everything, and I wish I could use it more. And my 5th and final tip is use practical lights. Practical lights are lamps or any light that's already in the space that you can use to kind of add another element of texture for your shot. You know, this was huge for me, and it wasn't something that I just automatically thought about doing until I realized that the image was kind of flat, which flat means is that it just didn't look dynamic. There wasn't many colors in the shot. And so we use this lamp, and you can see here in the diagram that right here where this back shelving, we put a lamp right here. And what that did was it really helped us add a little color into the shot, into the frame, and made it to where it wasn't like one-dimensional. So this really helped so much with our light here, this edge light, and create like a little edge on his hair here to make it kind of orangey, like it felt like it was coming from the lamp, but really it wasn't coming from the lamp. And that's a huge tip, is using those practical lights and using your own lights to then motivate other light onto your subject or your character. Okay, so those are the 5 tips, and here's our scene. So I'm using this diagram right here, and I got all of these elements from a group called Film Set Objects. And this is so awesome. This is actually my first time doing this, and it was fun to just play with and like create this little space. Definitely something that I'm going to use more of. So Film Set Objects, and I'll put a link in the description for it. So we had our first shot right here, this camera, and then we had our key light, the 1200D, which shot through this window, acted as a key light, really helped motivate all these lights right here. Felt like it was the sun, which was the intended purpose and use. Then we actually had this light that was boomed over. We lifted it up as high as we possibly could, and this was really to just help fill in anything on the face that we needed to make it look soft and make it look nice from a key light perspective. The next light was a aperture panel light, and this was set on a effects setting to where it flickered like a TV. So on some of the scenes, it's probably you probably don't notice it that much, but there was like a little flickering or lights were changing within the scene. And that was just to kind of emulate this person sitting in front of a TV. And our last light that we used was this tube light, this 4-foot tube light. And this came from the practical light. Like that practical light was there to add a little more dimension to our shot, but it also helped motivate, the coloring on the back of the couch, on the back of his hair here, which was really nice. Honestly, it was like my favorite element that we added because it just made it stand apart. But our third shot here, whenever we were shooting at the phone, which actually was green screened, and I need to give props to Eric Diaz at CrossFit. He's our creative director there and an awesome animator. And without him, like really this commercial wouldn't have been as good because this shot really needed someone that was an expert. So yes, shot number 3, over the shoulder, kind of a dirty over the shoulder. And what was super helpful was tip number 3, we talked about having the set design, and there was a little Coke can that helped kind of add a little extra pop there for us for colors. This is how we lit it, and this is part 1 of part 2, remember. Part 2, we're gonna talk about lighting this whole entire gym. Really the majority of the video was shot here at this location. So thank you so much for watching this video. It means a lot, like it really does, that you're watching. This has been fun for me to create these, and it's been a fun challenge to make these every single week. But I hope that you stick along and watch part 2 of this commercial. And please, if you haven't already, subscribe to this channel. Leave a comment of what your favorite part of the video was and give this little thumbs up. That would be awesome. Thank you so much. Peace.